Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and today someone posted on the Discord a Reddit post on Styx Reddit here of someone that uploaded a Google Doc that is apparently translated information on the closed beta test for Azur Promilia and people's thoughts on it. Now, I don't know how 100% verified this is, but I have kind of looked through it a little bit on the document to kind of get like the general gist of it, and I thought I'd just kind of bring it up to my audience's attention on it because Azur Promilia is a big game that I will be covering. I intend for it probably most likely to be one of my core games I play, unless something catastrophic happens and the game's just straight outright not good. But this is information based on what people are saying with the closed beta, so I thought we'd take a quick look at it. Now, it is very wordy on it, so I'm not going to like just straight up read it. I'll actually have a link to the Reddit post in the description. But I kind of did already read through it a little bit, so I can kind of summarize what I've seen in it as we look at different things. So, big thing here is this is a complete summary of the offline beta test phase. Big thing is they're saying the game graphics are better looking for them in the test phase than what we have seen in the trailer. It blends naturally with the game, and then, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it's got an atmosphere very similar to a Pal World in Pokemon feel. And so I do really like that. I mean, overall, the trailers make the world look great by itself. So if they're saying it looks better, I think that is pretty huge on that. But then that's not everything in the game. The game already looked good, but the one thing you don't really get to see very heavily in the trailers, other than a little bit of combat in that, is the gameplay. And so they have this section here on the classic but effective capture system. So mentioning that it has a very similar system to Pokemon and Pal World. They call them the Kibos, which we've seen that in the trailer. It said Kibo down somewhere when they were catching them there. There's an ecological chain logic, for example, fire lizards and desert areas. So they are where they are supposed to be based within kind of the lore of the game, like you would expect, like with Pokemon and all that. So if you want to look for a specific one, you got to go to that area. You have the elemental system of the weaknesses between water to fire and all that. And yeah, and then there's different ways to capture it from what I can tell, whether you weaken it or you can stealthily get them. So that kind of gives me that Pal World. So it really looks like it has a lot of Pal World type feeling to it overall. Um, and then they also interact with the world. That's kind of the big thing here. And you'll see that in others. You need the different ones to interact with the world in different ways, kind of in a puzzly way, like they mentioned down here at the bottom, that the ice type can freeze water and it opens up a secret passage. So you'll have different interactions with them within the world. Now we'll have to see how that works kind of when it comes to building your like exploration team. I'm gonna guess there'll be like different kind of combos you're gonna want with the synergies. So like an exploration team's probably gonna want, if it's anything like Pokemon, you're gonna want a team where you can fit all of the like the equivalent of an HM or whatever. Where I need cut, I need fly, I need this. So I'm wondering if there'll be like your exploration team, your bossing teams, and that kind of stuff. So we'll kind of have to see how that works. But that's pretty cool that it's got a lot of those systems. Open world exploration, interaction, the level design was excellent. It has the chest system where you have hidden chests and all that. And then you, like it says, this you have to use the Kabito. So you're going to be using the Pokemon basically to get around everywhere. Full of caves, snow-capped mountains, ruins, floating islands. So a lot of stuff to find there. And then you get the rewards based on the difficulty. It kind of gives me that thought. I never played Genshin Impact, but Wuthering Waves had that where the more difficult it was on the puzzle, typically had the better rewards. So different fluid exploration abilities. But the one negative I did see was this very bottom one, where climbing still suffers from inaccurate detection of the wall holds. So I'm guessing they'll be able to fix that kind of stuff up. But currently ground mounts only go up in 8 directions. Flying ones do better. I mean, I'm going to be on like if you have a flying mount that can land and run around, I mean, that's going to be my main mount anyway. But I'm guessing they'll clean that up from the beta. I mean, that's going to be something they probably gave a lot of feedback on. And then when it comes to the team, this is talking about combat, fast pace, and basic strategy. This one kind of compared it a little bit to, I mean, it has like the elemental type interaction system, like, Genshin Impact. But then they also mention that it has like a switch mechanic similar to Wuwa, where you have your intro and outro skills here. So that's really cool. So those that really like Wuthering Waves will get that, but also get the interaction type system with all the elements. With they're including like of the because it says the Pokemon are involved in the fights with you in doing certain mechanics. Some high-level bosses have a break system, so they're comparing that one. So they mentioned HSR here, so you can break them where you need to have a specific element to take down their thing. So if they're weak to fire, you need to use fire so that you can break them to do the excessive damage. So you're going to need to coordinate teams around that. The depth of the combat is basic. The elemental reactions are quite classic, like it mentions. I mean, it's probably going to be very similar to Genshin in that aspect. But the Kibos, or basically the Pokemon, will be useful. So yeah, fire one will be good for inflicting burn. Winged ones will be moving around with flying, and ice can unlock past through freezing areas. So there's going to all kinds of different interactions they're going to have, and it has AI behaviors that are specific to them, where they can automatically attack or QTE type events, and there are different roles for the Kibos: attack, support, and worker. And so we've already kind of seen probably what the worker is. That's basically like the Pal World slaves doing all your work for you. Then you have here environment, quest NPC behavior, high level interactivity with the environment. The NPCs is astonishing and changes completely between day and night. So I'm wondering how crazy it can be. Can it get to like what I would really like to see if they want to go crazy on it would be, now I highly doubt you're going to see this in a gacha game, but get something like a Skyrim level NPC where you have like literal times of the day. It's 1500, 1400, whatever the time is. They have actual schedules, and they do those schedules, and you can find them in all kinds of different areas interacting. I highly doubt it would get to that complexity because it's not going to be that type of game, but they'll probably shift based on the time of day in that, like it says here. The personal residential area housing is seamlessly connected to the large open map. Currently near a specific village, with a different base style depending on the region, but furniture has no interactions. So it does sound like there is a specific area for housing, because this is one thing people had asked, or I'd seen people thinking about, was, is this going to be like a true PAL world where you can place your base down anywhere? I was doubtful on it, and it looks like that's I mean, it's not true that you can do that. It's going to have a dedicated area for that. I mean, that makes sense. This isn't trying to be one-to-one to PAL world. And so being a gacha game, that makes sense that it's going to have a dedicated area, but it's probably going to have a lot of complexity to it with the furniture system and all that. Quests introduce new pets into the abyss zones with high rarity popularities. For example, some rare elemental creatures can appear under specific weather conditions. So you have conditions for certain characters to appear. The one thing is, being a gacha game, sometimes like that can be fun in a game like Pal World, in that where there's some kind of min-max in that. Pokemon, there's min-max of trying to get the highest EVs and IVs and all that. But in gacha games, it can be tedious, because that kind of system can be utilized for your equivalent of like a relic attachment or whatever equipment type system they have that has a lot of RNG. And then having those kind of conditions, while they're cool and it's very immersive, can be annoying when you're doing your daily grind for a gacha game. So we'll have to see how they implement that kind of system, because I know while it's cool in a non-gacha game, that could cause some pain with the gacha system. But I'm gonna guess a lot of the games are adding easier ways to kind of slowly accumulate them without even having to interact in the system once you get more to the end game anyway. You kind of see that with Wuthering Waves and Echoes. Characters and progression between depth and specialization. AoE skills, 5-star characters like Assault Strike perform well in the dungeons. However, the rise in power of characters via the constellation system, so that's their dupes, depends too much on equipment or rarity levels. For comparison, even some 4-star support or healing characters can shine more thanks to their versatility, making their development more profitable for free-to-play. So it's saying the rise in power of characters for constellation system depends too much on equipment or rarity levels. So I don't know if that's meaning that they don't make that much of a difference, if it's kind of like how Arknights does it, where it's more of just a stat stick, or Nikkei does it the same way. It's just a stat stick. You're not going to really see significant change in how the character plays. They can just do more damage and type stuff. If it's that way, that is always great, because that is very good for free to play, and they can just focus on getting the characters and then getting good equipment, while their 4-star supports are going to be outright really good in the beginning, because you're going to get dupes of them, which they kind of mention here. Very useful and profitable obtaining constellations, because you're going to get those over time. And so they may excel your 5-stars in the beginning while you're still waiting for getting gear. It does mention the pets can evolve. However, the integration of the evolution system as well as the eggs. The social mechanics is still confused and not very coherent. Resources like star fragments are obtained through limited methods, making repeating dungeons boring. I mean, that's just a gacha game, I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess the pets are going to be part of the grind, just like an equipment piece. So we'll have to see how that works. But that just sounds like a standard gacha system they may have in there. And who knows, maybe the feedback will get them to adjust it to make it more fun. I mean, it was kind of, a lot of people were annoyed with Wuthering Waves in the ecosystem until we really had an easy way to grind them out. And it got a lot easier over time as they improved it. So maybe they'll take that into consideration. Aesthetics and music. The translation between rocky and marshy areas in the Echo Coast very fluid. The music is high quality and music in places. So, I mean, the trailer and everything kind of gave me the feel of these already. And I mean, it was already great. I already know I'm going to like the game overall on that aspect. I mean, the trailers really showed a lot in terms of the immersiveness on that. So additional information. It was tested on the PS5. So this was not on PC or anything. So they're testing on the PS5. So main storyline stopped at the main village, so maybe it didn't get very far into the story at all, which it states here. Frame drops to 30 FPS. That's a console problem. Yeah, you're on a console, don't care. PC is where we'll care. When they start testing on PC, can you get your max frames and all that? I don't care about console. I know a lot of people do. There are a lot of people play on console, but I'm one of those people that's PC all the way on everything. Also, phone as well. I mean, phone matters too because it is a gacha game. But I'm not a big. I mean, I've never been a big console fan. But those that like consoles, we do want it to be good. But that one's not. I mean, as long as it's great on PC, I've never been concerned about console issues too much. But I don't play on console anymore. Cross-board loading takes 8 to 12 seconds. Background loading icon would be nice. Okay, so it takes a little while to load right now, and so I'm guessing it's blank. But I mean, that's stuff that they'll probably improve on. They're in a beta, so maybe they just haven't implemented that kind of stuff. I'm guessing that'll be in there, and they just haven't implemented it yet. Open world is expanding little by little with the opening of a new ocean map planned soon. So they're continuing to add stuff into the game. Recommend slightly lowering the research purchase threshold to order limit gap between new players. So I'm guessing, okay, related to the 5-star constellation. So I'm guessing there's resource issues that whales are going to be able to avoid a little bit easier, and it's related to the dupes. We'll have to see. I mean, that's just your typical gacha. Your whales, again, now they need to lower it, is what they're saying, basically, so that the whales don't get too far ahead. But I mean, your whales are always gonna have a advantage. I mean, that's your gacha game. You just got to get used to it. As long as it's just like stat sticks and kind of a little bit of pay to progress, I actually prefer that over just straight outright power creep, where you get the dupes and it fundamentally changes the character overall. Gacha system and no clear pity system for the eggs. Kibos were all obtainable in the world, so you could get all of them through doing the world. For the characters, we assume a classic system, but nothing has been confirmed. Monthly pass value, the daily reward seemed lower than that of the competition, which could be a fear for player retention. We'll just have to see with that. I mean, I guess it's all still a work in progress on that. So I can take all that with a grain of salt. Because I'm guessing what they're meaning is the amount of polls equivalent that you would get out of it resource-wise is not what you would expect in a typical game. But they even mention we assume a classic system, so they don't know what the system is on the polling. So you don't know if the rewards you're getting in the daily is really good, because the biggest thing you get the monthly pass for is to get polls, and how many polls you need is going to be determined by what's the rates, what's the pity, and all that. So it's really hard to tell if they don't even have the system implemented based on what I can tell here. So that one's taken with a grain of salt there, but we'll kind of have to see. AI system for pets is improving, and according to rumors, based on the official statement from the music composer, how official that is, expected to be released in 2025 with the soundtrack having been completed. Possible release date for late 2025. I mean, we'll have to see how finished it is, but with it just getting trailers, I'm not so sure about that. I would really hope that, like, I want it to release in the summer, and I know it's definitely not going to release this summer. So 2026 summer is actually going to be better for me. One, they can improve a lot on it based on this feedback. But also it'll give me time with the other games. If it comes out too quick this year, I know it's going to be one of my core games. It's going to really eat into my ability to play like Arknights Infield, Ananta, and Everness to Neverness whenever those games release. So we'll just kind of have to see. But I mean, if it comes out in 2025, it comes out in 2025, I'll be all over it and on top of it. But yeah, I will put a link to this in the description for anyone who wants to look at. Well, I'll put the post here in the description for who's want to go here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like my content, if you could like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.